folks. I think we're live. Morning. Yes, it says we're live now, so we must be live. Seems like forever since we did one of these, and I'm really nervous this morning, which could result in finger ends being removed, probably, knowing me. Today we are building one of those, or maybe a couple of them, LX067 Market Stalls. I was trying to find something to do. I wasn't sure what to do this morning, and I thought what we'll do over the next few weeks, or every other week, because Dylan will do next week's probably, we'll build a little, I don't know, street scene, town square scene, something like that, using a number of older kits. We'll dig some bits out of the archives. So LX067 is a good one to start with. It's a few years old. When it released that, 2017 released that, so what's that, 4 years old? Yeah, 4 years old, still really popular, and it's fairly straightforward to build. So we're going to do that first. If we've got time, I'll also do some of the LX13s, which are the wooden park benches. So we'll try and do some of those if we've got the time. And I'll also give you a quick whiz over a couple of recent releases so you can see them sort of in the flesh, on screen, but in the flesh kind of thing. So give me 2 seconds to get me bits ready, and we'll be back and ready to get started. See you in a second. Right, there we go. We're there. Right, there we go. You can hear me, hopefully, which would be good. Unfortunately, I can hear myself through my phone, which is really off-putting. A couple of things we've released recently, which I'll just go over very briefly. LX450 yard lights. This is the double O gauge version. Quite a few have bought these in the last few days. That's Lola, just saying good morning to everybody. These are ideal for a modern freight depot, maintenance depot yard thingy, whatever you want to call it, marshalling yard, that kind of thing. And we've also got its little baby brother or sister or whatever, the Engage version. These are tiny, but actually okay to build. I've tweaked it a bit since I built this one to make it a little bit easier, but they go together quite nicely. So you can see little and large. You possibly could even use these on a double O gauge layout in a smaller yard, to be honest, or a smaller thing, particularly with the more modern heads. There's a car park. In fact, these would work for, just thinking out loud and on my feet, these would work for CCTV camera masts. There's one at the car park up at Rock, just north of here. Looks pretty much just like this. And it's about the right height. Actually, if you took this top off and just mounted CCTV cameras on the top, it would work for a modern CCTV thing. So there you go. That's the other version with the modern heads. You can see those rather than the stalky things. I prefer that one, definitely. That's my preference. So there you go. That's those LX450s, 450N and 450 00. Morning, everybody. So it's good to be back, but I'm really nervous this morning, so I'll get stuck in now. Essentials, I've got me thingy. This isn't a plug, but this is why I built this, why I made one of these. I've got my surgeon's tray with everything organized, so I know where everything is. Even though I've built numerous trays in the past, they get filled with all sorts of bits of other kits. So I thought I'll make something that I can just keep my knife and glue and everything else neatly arranged in. So that's what I'm using this morning. Essential thing. A chap emailed in yesterday. We asked for a little review with your after you've had your or received your orders. And a chap said he was really disappointed with his first kit building experience because the glue tips kept blocking up. We recommend laser cut kit glue. Brilliant stuff. But the key is get a jam jar, wet tissue paper in the bottom. Otherwise, you will have an absolute nightmare with the tips. These tips block up so quickly, it's unbelievable. The glue sets very, very quickly. It's just like super glue for card and wood and stuff like that. But the tips block really quickly. If you've got a jar, wet tissue, stand your glue upside down. I say this every single week, but I can't stress the importance of this. It makes your modeling experience so much more enjoyable by having a pot with wet tissue in it that you can stick the glue in upside down. It's absolutely essential. So I'm just going to get my glue ready and do exactly that. Pull the plug out. I'll use a shorter tip. I'm just using a shorter tip because I prefer them and they're less likely to block than the big things. Make sure that's not blocked, which is not. The tips just screw onto the top, and then we put that upside down in there. That's it, and that stops your tip blocking up and keeps it all ready to go at any moment. Right, and that's Terry the Sandwich Man. So Lola's now going to give us a chorus for the next couple of minutes. Right, nobody wants Lola. Nobody wants Terry this morning. Right, market stalls. I'm just going to release some of the bits, and then I'm going to pass the knife and stuff over to Tina so she can cut the wraps out for me for the tops. I'm going to release the legs. First thing I do is put them on so I can see what I'm doing. That's better. There we go. Now I'm not working blind. Right. And again, as usual, on the laser board, I'm cutting from the back of the laser board because you can hear, hopefully, there, a little bit of a pop or a click when the parts release. Makes it so much easier to cut through, cutting from the back. So I'll just do that on, work on the back, release all the little parts for one of them. I might build two actually, then we can have a bit of a production line, and while we're waiting for the glue to dry on one, we can work on the other one. So let's do two, I think. Kit builds 4, but we don't need 4 for the moment. Morning everybody that's tuning in. That's funny, I can't even see the screen now with the glasses on. I can see close up here, but I can't see the screen to the side of the room, so I've got no idea who's commented what yet or who's joined us. But morning everybody, hope you're all right. It's nice and sunny down here this morning, but quite fresh, or it was when we left home. Hopefully these will go together nice and easily, and I won't make a complete pig's ear of them. They're basically a trestle table with a bit of a canopy on them, and the tables are exactly the same as the, I think it's LX067 or something like that, trestle tables. You probably know too, better than I do.
Say that again.
Trestle table number LX067, something like that, isn't it?
No, I don't know. Dave Puncher said that he used the pot with the wet tissue yesterday, started using it again this morning after leaving the glue in it all night.
Yep.
And it's still fine.
It works brilliantly. You get a little bit of, whatever the word is, seepage, dribble, whatever. A little bit runs out of, or leakage out of the end of the tip of the glue, but not enough to sort of really worry about. And morning, David. Yes, it works brilliantly. It saves you so much aggro, just a simple bit of wet tissue at the bottom of a jam jar, and it eliminates all those problems with blocked up tips, because they are really, really hard. I had to Dremel one when I left it the other week. I had to run a very, very small fine drill bit up the end of the thing to get the glue to flow again, which was a bit of a pain, but it worked. But it's much easier just to use a bit of wet tissue. Right, I've probably cut too many pieces out there, but anyway, more than enough to build 2. And I'll release the frames. I'll come back and do the ones for, no, in fact I'll release them now, and then we've got everything we need. That's one frame for the top of the canopy, the frame, and I will release the pieces for the fruit and veg crates, or seed trays, fruit trays, what we're going to call them. Oops, bend that one. That's better. Laser board's quite forgiving when you catch it, so it's quite good to work with.
Chris Bush says he changes the wet tissue every so often to get rid of glue seepage.
Yeah, that one's been in a couple of weeks. Just because it's all sort of hard and crusty and doesn't work very well. Right, one more and we're ready to go.
Where did the idea for the jam jar come from?
Off the instructions on the glue.
Oh, was
it's actually on the instructions. It's not my invention. No, I'm not taking any credit for it at all. It's on the glue. It says in there on the side of the packet, I think, or on the side of here somewhere. Yeah, rest bottle tip on a damp sponge between use. It says wash dispensing, but that's it. It just says wash dispensing. I think it means wash. Oh, well, there we go. It carries on the other side. Wash dispensing needle, pin and bottle thoroughly after use. Yeah, use a syringe for that. You want one of them. 5mm syringe, get them from a chemist. Restock them, but you can get them from a chemist. Use one of them. But it's on the instructions for the glue. It's not my invention. It's entirely the instructions of Mr. Bristow. That's his name. Not Eric. John. Right, we're going to start off then by building some really small parts.
I thought your glasses were steamed up.
Steamed up? No, I hope not. They're probably dirty. They probably need cleaning. Right, we're going to build the trestles first, which is the most fiddly part of this kit, I think. If I can give that to you, you're able to cut. I don't think I need my knife at the moment. If you're able to cut those wraps out, so we've got the wraps for canopies. So you just cut a square out and then cut a couple of fruit things out, please. Wraps are for the canopies. We've got stripy ones and orange ones and green ones. So Tina will choose one, whichever she likes. Now she's not good with choices. She'll probably sit there for 10 minutes trying to work out which one she wants to cut out, whether we should be doing green or orange or whatever, or stripy or not stripy. So she'll sit there for ages trying to decide what to do.
We'll ask everybody else. Orange or green?
There you go. Yeah, orange or green. What should we do? Right, I'm going to do these trestles now. Pluck up the courage to do these. So these are very, very tiny, and I'll try and hold them up as I've done them. Essentially, we've got little, where are we? Holes and slots in the top there. Really, really tiny holes and slots. And we want to put this centerpiece there in that little hole. Like so. Get in. There. That should stand up straight, hopefully. Now, assuming the glue is working. Yep, it is. Notice I didn't put glue on it before I put the part in place, because the glue can sometimes make the laser board swell just a little bit. Lola, shut up, please. There's Kate on the phone in the laser room. That's all it is. She's talking to Ian, I think. Yeah, the glue will make the laser board swell ever so slightly. So sometimes it's better just to put the part in dry first. Then the second piece at the top, which is the top there. This is where you need 2 pairs of tweezers. There we go. That one's in. Now a little bit of glue. I'll hold this up in a second so you can see what I've done. It's a bit difficult to see what I'm doing here. Okay. Sort of starting to put together the basic frame. As you can see, it's a little bit wonky, but we can sort that out as we go. Ah, I've knocked it off now, look. Useless. Easily done. That's better. Right, I'm going to leave that one to dry. I'm going to do the next one. And again, when I put these together, I'm trying to work on the back of the laser board only because it seems to slot in a little bit easier. There you go, that was holding itself up. Look, that was easy. Again, a little bit of glue. It's ages since I've worked on anything this time. The N-gauge one was probably, the N-gauge light was probably about as fiddly as or more fiddlier than this actually, because of the size of the parts. I still don't understand how somebody could enjoy building N-gauge stuff. It's so small. It was a good feeling that once I'd completed the build, I must admit, of the lamp, it was quite. I was quite pleased with how it turned out. So a lot of satisfaction. There we go. See the one. Next one. Really simple. Simple but tiny. Then once we've done these, we can start to put the table together. And it shouldn't take very long at all to do these. But the plan there with this is to build over the next couple of weeks a little sort of market square or something. We may do it period with cobbles, or I might do part cobbled. In fact, we could do a combination. I'm just thinking of places like where is it? Ashbourne, maybe Derbyshire. I think it's Ashbourne, where you've got kind of cobbledy, somewhere like that, cobbled kind of market square with a market cross and other bits and bobs, and you've got car parking spaces marked out, but they also have a market. There's usually market stalls and things like that. So we could actually do something which is a bit of a hybrid between a period scene and a modern image scene, which would probably make quite a nice diorama actually, because we're about to do the RX004 and all its other variants road markings. We're doing them weathered soon, so there'll be a weathered option. So that would be a good thing actually. We could do a modern-ish kind of market square with car parking spaces marked out. We'll put the market stalls in, we'll put some benches in, we'll put some what else? So the market cross, and then maybe at some point we could actually put some shops behind it, or some low relief shops or something, and build a nice little diorama. Right, I need 4 of these, don't I? Yeah. Nearly there then. Right. Have they picked a colour yet?
Yeah, orange seemed to be
Orange.
favourite.
Right.
So, and then it was followed by green and stripy. So I've gone orange.
Yeah.
And green stripy.
Right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Hopefully pleases everybody.
Hopefully. Right. Okay. So that's the first part of the trestle done. So now we have to turn it over. You see, that's hopefully glued nice and securely. Still a bit of room for adjustment, which is good. And then what we're going to try and do now, which is going to be hard for you guys to see, we need a super. Can I zoom this? Not better. Is that in focus? I can't see because I can't see the screen.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you see a bit better there? I'm trying to do this while I'm. If I move it that way a bit, like that, what I'm going to do now is try, hold that down. Oh, this is like performing surgery. Okay, I've got one part in. Definitely need a second pair of tweezers. I'm going to have to invest in a set. In fact, we just had tweezer sets coming from Gauge Master. I might just have to go and pinch a set. There we go. So working with tweezers makes it much easier. Right, that's that one glued. So now we have a completed. Well, that's really zoomed in. Oh, hang on. Whoa. That's quite difficult with it zoomed right in. Right, there you go. That's one trestle. So I'm going to leave that to dry over there. I'm going to do the same again with the other ones. Try and get it in a position where you can see it. This is really hard. This is like trying to trim your beard in the mirror with a pair of scissors. Really difficult. Yes, I do trim my beard occasionally, believe it or not.
A Facebook user says that they work really well in the Metcalfe Castle.
Oh right, yeah. They got. I suppose these are kind of hope. We've tried when I did them. I tried to do them so they would work in a number of scenarios with the market stalls, with either modern or more vintage-looking scenes. I suppose they do work. Okay. Right. Just need to adjust that one a bit. Bit of a twist on it.
Sam Hills asked when the handy packs of dry grass and swamp grass will be back in stock.
I'm hoping next week. We've got the big packs coming in tomorrow, and the handy packs will be back in hopefully next week. I've got to speak to Sarah that makes them all this afternoon about our order for handy packs and get it off to her. Sorry. There we go. You can see it now. Sorry. I brought it closer to myself so I could see the blinking thing. Right, there we have another trestle done there. Yeah, handy packs should be back in stock next week, I'm hoping. The larger packs of flowers, the FB, whatever they are, FB 0 to 13 or 14 or whatever, they're coming back in tomorrow. She's putting all the labels and things on for us today. And then she said she would drop them down here tomorrow because she's not very far from us. So fingers crossed we'll have them early, probably ready to go on the site by early afternoon tomorrow. And then handy packs, I'm hoping very early next week. The handy packs are good because if you're building a small layout, you only need a few flowers or a few bits of grass and stuff. The handy packs are quite good because there's 21 tufts in each one. So they're quite useful.
Michael Drummond says you're lucky because his main gauge is Z.
You must be bonkers. Z, really? Oh dear me. Why? That's just crackers. I couldn't do it. I mean, I like, you know, I'd like to have a go at some stuff. We did a T gauge set of fencing, didn't we? You could hardly see it. But obviously you can't, I guess, in Z gauge, you can't get the amount of detail in that you would put in a 00 or whatever, because you just can't work with it. So there has to be a bit of artistic license. It'd be interesting to try some Z gauge, actually. I'll probably find I got on all right with it, actually. Enjoy it. But
Nick Forts has asked whether you can have your beard clippings for Ghostbusters. Let me have your address and I'll sort it for you.
That's right, I'm just tweaking one of the trestles. It's not quite straight. There we go. Right, last one to do. And then we are looking like we can about build a table then.
Michael says it's DCCZ as well.
Oh, flipping heck. Well, I admire you. I really do, because that must be quite challenging.
Martin Jackson's asked whether the glue becomes transparent when it's dry, and if it smears, can it be removed?
It does become dry, and it does become dry. Obviously, it becomes dry. Duh. Yeah, all right. It becomes transparent. Yes, it does become transparent. It leaves a slight gloss thing. It does shrink a lot. You don't get big blobs of it. It tends to go a little bit glossy, if anything. I'll show you some in a minute when it's dry. It goes a little bit glossy, but you can then just give it a quick coat of matte lacquer, to be honest. I've never really faffed about trying to remove bits that have gone smeary, to be honest.
You're not on camera now.
Sorry, I'm not on camera. No, you're right there. Sorry, I'm just trying to square up this wobbly trestle. And now, of course, because you're zoomed right in, you can see how shoddy my workmanship is. Yeah, there's a little bit of adjustment in these. Look, they go. You can, even when the glue's set more or less, you can still tweak them a bit because the laser board's slightly forgiving. All right, there we go. Not too bad. Said I've not built them for a long time. So we have 4 trestles. And whether you can see on here where the glue is dried, it just goes slightly shiny. I don't know if you can see that. Quite different. Oh, I see. I'll keep the blinking thing in the middle of the camera. There we go. This is really difficult. So it just goes slightly shiny. Let me zoom you out a bit, then you can see a bit more of what we're doing next. Right, now we'll build a table, which is the most straightforward bit of the kit, I think, so far. We're just going to glue that into there. Not sure if I can get hold of it properly. And use the knife just to push it into place. So nice snug fit on those, they're really easy to get in. Make sure it's straight. So I just poked the tab on the trestle into the underside of the table, and I run a bit of glue down there, tiny bit, just to hold that in place there.
Martin
like
Jackson asked the question about the glue because he's just added some of your tiles to a roof.
Right.
The glue is seeped.
Oh right, yeah, it will dry very, very flat. And to be honest, if you just give it a dusting with a clear matte lacquer, you wouldn't notice it. I would just give it a light dusting. Don't use a huge amount. Don't put too much on, because if you've used, depending on which tiles you've used, if you use the LX410s, with the toners, if you use a solvent-based lacquer on the toners, you can make the toner doesn't lift, but it goes slightly wet for a few seconds. And if you happen to touch it, you'll end up with a fingerprint. So don't panic. Just lightly dust. Say just very, very lightly dust the roof with matte lacquer. It'll just take the shine off the glue. Then you wouldn't notice it. It'll work a treat. It'll work a treat. Just, I know you're in Portugal, so whatever the Portuguese version of Halfords is, just any car spares place, get some matte lacquer, clear matte lacquer, and job done. Just dust it with that.
Clive Cobbold's asked whether there's any news on the Class 86, 87 jumper boxes for AA.
I'm working on them. Well, they're on our list. I will have a word with the chap I need to have a word with in a bit. I've forgotten about them, to be honest, this last couple of weeks, but I have set them in motion, but I've just not had a chance to do it, to chase them up or do anything about it. So leave it with me and I will chase it up when I finish this. Okay, put the other one in now.
Michael Drummond says, want a Z gauge diorama, hobo gauge in newsletter.
Yeah. If you've got send us some information of your layout. I'd love to feature it. Definitely. Okay, so we've just about got these all in place now. So you notice I'm not putting the glue onto the parts until they go into the piece. That's just purely because I don't want the laser board to expand. Most of the time it doesn't. It's just a precaution. I just make sure that if the parts go together dry and they hold themselves together, I'll then put the glue on afterwards so that it fixes everything into place and I'm not running the risk of having to squash parts together, which wouldn't look very good when it's done. Okay, we have a table. Yeah.
Do we do trestle tables?
Those, yeah.
As a standalone?
Yeah, so that's available. I think it's LX79. But that's the trestle table essentially, and it's just not got extra tabs on it, which we'll see what the tabs are for in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, just Mark Littlejohn's just said that they use them like those in their joiner's workshop.
Right, yeah. I think the part number is LX79. Right, now what we're going to do is start building the canopy, and this is sort of the bit where it all kind of comes together now and starts to look like a a market stall. What we need to do first is glue this into position so that stands up for us to put the canopy onto it. So this is the main frame. There's 2 slots or 2 holes in the top of the table, which the canopy just pushes through. Hang on, too close. There. Right, this canopy just pushes, this canopy support thing pushes through, and then we just put a blob of glue on each side of the trestle table, trestled, a bit there, and a bit there, in the middle-ish. Then we're going to go put that down, hold it roughly in position so that it's nice and straight and standing upright. I'm just going to use the tweezers to fix each side in position on the trestle.
Dave says, does it matter which side of the top you fix the trestle to?
Yeah, one side's scored. Obviously, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. If you want a plain top on your table, then that's absolutely fine. One side, I'll show you in a second when I've done this. Just bear with me while I concentrate and get this glue in the right place. Keep it all neatish. I'll show you in a few seconds.
Great Chesterford Junction Model Railway. Sorry, I don't know your name. I've been avoiding building these for quite some time now, but after your tutorial, I'm more confident to give it a go.
That's Gormo, down in Australia.
Oh, right.
Great Chesterford.
Right.
I think. Yeah. How you doing, Gormo? You're right. Yeah, they're okay. This is not that bad actually. They're pretty decent. The trestle, take your time on the trestles. That's the thing. Dry fit the parts together, and put a bit of glue on. Decent set of magnifying glasses or something will help. Right, there we go. I've glued the frame together. That's really straightforward. That just literally goes through the slots in the top, and there we go. And then Dave, you said about the surface. So the surface of the table, can you see that? Yeah, just about see it. It's scored to look like planks. But if you wanted a plain top on it, just turn the thing over and do it upside down. There, that's it. You do it that way. So that's one. So let's do the other one. And this is really straightforward again. So pop that through there. In fact, I'll put the glue on first this time, make it a bit easier. Put the glue in the middle, blob of glue.
Tom Lowther said he knows that you're very busy with everything, but how are the longer farm trailers coming along?
Yeah, on the list. I'm sorting them. I've got one big job I want to get out of the way this week, which most people, if you've read the newsletter, you know which one it is. Yes, it's the bandstand. I want to get the blinking thing finished. So I'm on that this week. If I can get that blooming thing out of the way, it's been nagging me for, a good 2 years. Get the flipping thing finished and out of the way, I can get back onto the other kits that I need to do and get through the to-do list and click up because it's massive. But there's only 3 of us here at the moment, so it's kind of a bit full on at times. Gets a bit busy, so excuse me, I'm thirsty. Right, so I'm going to leave that one to dry for a few seconds.
But we're managing.
We are managing, yeah, we're doing all right actually. And
yeah. We're working well together.
We are cracking on and orders going out on time, every time. And stock's building nicely for the winter, which is good. We're doing really well, actually. Right, this one is for the top frame for the canopy. So that just slots on. So you can see on there, tabs that side, tabs that side. All you do is locate the tabs over the top frame. And on the top frame, there's a couple of other tabs. A lot of tabs here. There's a tab there, look. And that sits down on that one. So it's really straightforward. You can't go wrong. You literally just plop that on and make sure it sits flat. And then straight, yeah, which it's not yet, but I can adjust it in a second. Hang on a minute. Hang on. So a bit of glue around each tab. Again, I fitted it dry just to make sure everything's all right and in the right place. And I'm just securing it. And I'll give it a bit of a wobble to make sure the glue beds down into the joints. And then get it straight. Might have to pass it to quality control in a minute to make sure it's straight. I'll go with that. I think that's straight. Happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. She's happy. She's happy with that. Right. So did you get that? See, Tina suggested that she's happy with that. So if he tells me later it's not straight, it's not my fault. Right. Same again for this one. If you build an all four, obviously you've got plenty of time for all of the canopies, all of the glue to go off on all of the sections of this, so you can get a bit of more of a production line than this going together. So how are we doing for time? Oh, loads of time.
Clive Cobbold's asked, Justin, what are your overhead G?
Overhead G. I'm not sure what you mean, Clive. Glasses? Do you mean the overhead? I haven't got what overhead G. I don't know what you mean. Wait, what's G? I'm not sure. Right. Do you want to check this one again? Sorry. Yeah. Look flat. There she comes again. Look. The Tina's hands. I haven't got 3 hands. Yeah.
Right.
Happy. Right. Okay. We're just going to leave those to dry for a few minutes. So both of those are done with the top frames. Now I'm going to let the glue dry. I want to wait till the glue's gone clear for those. So what I'll do now is we'll jump quickly to doing the fruit and veg trays. These are made of simple layers, a couple of layers of things. Going down a bit, sorry. Excuse my dirty fingernails. I'll laser it. The problem with lasering, right, is when you take the stuff out of the lasers, you get the beds are just, they get dirty, so you end up with filthy fingernails all the time. And I meant to clean my fingernails last night before I did this, and I forgot. So I apologise for the dirty fingers. It's one of the hazards of lasering. It's the sap out of the laser board and MDF and stuff. It gets all over the beds and things. So when you're cleaning them down, you end up with really filthy fingers. So I apologise for my disgusting fingernails. Right, so we've got one. And I'll use the knife to pick this up just because it's easier. Whoops, I say it's easier. Helps if you've got a sharp tip to your knife blade. This one's blunt as I don't know what. Right, drop that on top and give it a bit of a nudge till it lies nice and square.
Tom says not all stalls would have been straight. Some of the older markets would have been a bit off.
Very true, but we like things straight and true here, don't we?
I do.
You do, I know you do. Yes, you do. You like things nice and tidy and organised. This is the OCD market, this one. The particular, whatever you call it, the manager of the market is quite particular about the presentation of this market.
Clive said, what are your overhead gantries made from?
Oh, gantries, right. Yeah, they're made of laser board, 0.4 laser board, mostly for the main gantry, and the masts are made of 4mm MDF, and they go together really well. Ian's done a nice walkthrough. I'm not sure whether Ian's watching, but there is a walkthrough in the Railway Modelers Club, which I believe is in the free section. It should be, which walks you through in great detail exactly how they're built, so you can see every single step. So I'll get Ian to post a link to it on Facebook or something later. Right, so that's the 2 sets of fruit and veg crates. Obviously, this doesn't come with physical fruit and veg or miniature ones. This just comes with some prints. Now, if you want to fill it with all kinds of random things like tiny beads or whatever, you can do. I'm going to have a word with Sarah and see if I can get her to come up with some sort of idea for making miniature fruit and veg. I've got no idea how we can do it, but I'm sure there'll be a way. So what we're going to do now to make this look like it's got at least some fruit and veg on it, on one stall. Obviously, you don't have to have big fruit and veg stalls. You could use the Prizer, what's it called? Crockery and whatever it is, cutlery set, food and cutlery set. So you could have plates and stuff stacked up for sale. You could have all manner of things like that. You could put all sorts of things on it, really. It could be anything, couldn't it? It could be tools. You could use the garden tools that we do what's the garden tools? LX361.
Mm-hmm.
LX361. You could have a garden tool stall. Doesn't just have to be fruit and veg. These are just really simple to give you the impression of there being fruit and veg. So it's a simple fruit and veg wrap on the back of the glued to the back of the fruit and veg box. It's not going to win any awards in terms of detailing, but it's for the purpose of the exercise from a viewing point of view, it looks like a stall with fruit and veg on it. So it's really straightforward. Does the job. But like I say, you can fill it with coloured scatter. In fact, I'll have a word with Sarah and see if she's got any of their fine coloured sand and foliages and stuff, which might work. We've not released any of the foliages yet. I've got some samples downstairs, which I need to get organised with once I know she can do the volumes that we want.
Tom says he's also got the same motor at home.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, I think you went to the same training school, I think. Must have done. Right. So we go. We have fruit and veg in trays now. There we are. So really simple, stacked up. The only thing I need to do is just trim a tiny, tiny piece off the edge of there, because there's a little bit of fruit and veg showing on the side there. And we don't want the fruit and veg showing. Not out the side of there, do you? That's popping out the side. You have to keep your fruit and veg neatly inside, neatly tucked away. Right. Now then, what did I do with this? I folded it first. Folded it first, then I put thingy. So we're going to put a little score down the middle to make it easy to fold. Borrow the ruler. Empty ballpoint pen. Just a standard biro with no ink in it at all. It gives us a little tiny crease in the middle, which means when we do that, we get a nice neat fold up. And we'll do the same on the other ones, because there's other folds marked as well. They're just sort of, these don't have to be particularly precise. Like we said, it's a market stall, so they will vary. They'll be a bit scruffy, some of them. But there are sort of fold lines marked as sort of grey, shadowy things. So, and those will fold back that way, because they're going to hang downwards. Like that. So we have a basic one, but what we want to do now is introduce a bit of a thingy, whatever you call it, scallop, I suppose, to each of these. So I'll do the orange one while I'm at it as well. And then we're about done the market stall, and these get glued on, that's it. And we'll quickly do a bench. So we'll score those, score that again. Sorry, Tim.
Drive says you could use an embossing tool to 3D the veg printer.
You could. You could. I've never used an embossing tool, but you could use one. Yeah, that would work. Okay, we've bent this. These are coloured on both sides, so they look realistic from underneath as well. So if you take any photographs of your layout from low down, sort of viewing point of view, there we go, come out a bit, you'll still see printed canvas effect. Right, I'll use my knife now. All I'm doing now is introducing a bit of a bend going the other way on both sides, because I want a slightly scalloped look, if that makes sense. So it looks a bit saggy. Like that. So it looks like canvas is sagging a little bit. So we'll glue that onto there, and then we'll glue the sides on, and we have completed the market stall. So just making sure you can see what I'm doing. So I'll run some glue along the top. This is all set nicely now. So this goes on the top there. And I'll leave that for a few seconds, and we'll do the next one. Flapping this one to do that quickly. Bending it around the knife just to give it a bit of a curve, that's all. A uniform kind of curve. that one into place. Yeah, we've got sort of the canopies fixed in position now on the top, and then we want to run a little bit of glue up underneath here. I'm just going along. You see that? Just running the glue along the top edge of that canopy there, the canopy bracket thingy, whatever you call it. Don't know what you call it really. Cross member thing on the canopy frame. Just run a bit of glue along the top, so then we can push these down. And then what we want to try and do.
Nick Thorpe says he uses poppy seeds and all kinds of seeds as fruit and veg. Beetroot seeds make a good cauliflower.
Oh right. I suppose they would actually, because they're because they're quite chunky, but they're not as big as because I know obviously Knock and people like that do fruit and veg, but they're massive. They're huge for the size that you actually need them. Right, and then as this dries, I'm just trying to give this a bit of a pinch, so that hopefully it will stick in a second or two. There we go. We've got a bit of a saggy canvas, look. Just by bending that top canvas in a bit before we stuck it on, just get a little bit of a sag. Works, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Sag on the canvas. Hopefully this one's dried now. Yeah, it's dried all right. So do the same again, run some glue along the top of that canvas thingy, support, cross member, beam, whatever. Don't know what you call it. That's trouble with like half this stuff. I don't know what things are called. There's probably some technical name for it, but I've no idea what it is. We'll do the same again. So we're going to try and get enough for bend on each end. Come here. And all I'm trying to do now, while I'm fiddling around, is trying to get the bend or the folds that I put in on the canvas, the folds to sit along the edge of the frame there, so that it looks half decent. There we are. That's better. And I can tweak the canvas a bit to get it to lie exactly how I want it. And there we go. So that's those. And then what we can do now is we can position fruit and veg trays. I shan't glue them on because I might decide I want to do something different with them. If we decide to try actual fruit and veg or model fruit and veg when we do the market stall scenes, we can add stuff to them, whereas if I glue them on now, it might be difficult to work on. So we can position those on our baseboard. Can you see this? Yeah, just about. We can lean one up against it there. Come here. You see that? I can go in a bit more. There we go.
Canopy support.
It's better is a canopy support, yeah, that's what it is. It's a thing in it.
That's not come from me, that's come from Paul Sherwood.
No, right, thank you, Paul. Yeah, canopy support, I suppose it is, isn't it? So there you go. It's a good bit to the one side. Let me just move the camera. No, not that way, that way. There we go. We have a market stall and another market stall ready for the thingy, ready for our little scene, which we'll do over the next few weeks. What time is it?
10 to.
10 to. Really quickly then, let's just knock up a quick bench. So that's the LX67 Market Stalls. Not too bad. If you're not waffling like me, you can build them a lot quicker. So this is LX13. Let me zoom out. There we go. Wooden benches. I'm going to build a couple of, or build one of them now. These are quite straightforward again. Elizabeth built some of these in the summer. Let's zoom back in again so you can see what I'm doing. I'll try and work. I need to put a mark on here so that so I know where to zoom into or where I'm. What's it? Okay, so same again. We'll work from the back of the thing, back of the sheet. We'll just build the one for the moment. So cut the parts out. Work from the back of the sheet, just because it makes it easier. So we've got the bottom, two main ends. Pardon me.
A few people have said how nicely Market Stalls looking.
Good, thank you. No, I like them. They're quite nice little kits. I'm just trying to think what I need here. Two ends, thingy, a thing, and a thing. I think that is probably. Just making sure I've got all the parts here. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. So, no, I'm not. I'm missing a bit. No, I'm missing a bit. Duh. I was confusing myself. Looking at the sheet, thinking I've got everything. I haven't got everything. I've got half of it. That's better. I need two of them, and I need the base as well. And then double sides. The reason why the sides are double thickness is just to add a bit more dynamic to the model, and also it covers up the fittings or the ends of the horizontal pieces that slot in, like the back and the bottom of the bench. Right, there's all the parts. That's better. Makes more sense now. Okay, we are going to glue one of these onto here. We'll double these up. Can you still see? Yeah. As you see, this wet tissue thing with the glue works brilliantly because this has stayed completely unblocked all the way through this build. Been here for an hour nearly, and it's not blocked once, which is brilliant. Okay. So I'll just double these up.
Says any chance of regional seats?
Regional seats? Yeah, eventually, I suppose. Yeah, I'd like to do the GWR ones and various other bits. I suppose so. Yeah, just got time. There's not enough hours of the day. But yes, we shall get on with some research and stuff. Right, these need to be handed. So we have a left-hand one. So now we need to do a right-hand one. Hopefully this is just going to take us about 5 minutes to build. Then we can all go and get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And I'll get back on with the bandstand. Which you never know, in a couple of weeks' time we might actually be building that live. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? After all these years, we could actually be building the thing live on YouTube. Right, so we've got the ends. Literally say just doubled up. So you've got slots in one side, where are we? There, slots in one side, and on the other side it's plain for viewing, essentially. Right, that one, the base, that slots into there. With a bit of luck, which it does. So that slots into there, so that's the base. We're just going to glue that on there. I'll put a tiny bit of glue on the top, but not a lot, because I don't want it to be really to be seen. And we can run a little bit along there.
It says LMS seats.
LMS seats, right, okay. I'll have to have a look and see what LMS seats look like. I'm sure they're straightforward enough, and it would be good to do them. The back now. the back slots in. Again, secure it in the corners, like so. Out of interest, right? Tina and I had a conversation the other day about measurements. We're walking the dog, and whenever we say about how big something is, it was about it's yay big. Is anybody else measuring yays? That's a really strange off the wall thing. I just suddenly thought about it for no reason. Is anybody else measuring yays? And they say how big something is. Oh, yay big. Or is it just us?
Sorry,
that's all right. I'm just waffling. Yeah.
Yes. The oldest bandstand joke. How do you make a bandstand take the chairs away?
Haha.
How do you?
Take the chairs away.
Take the chairs away?
Yeah.
How do you make a bandstand?
How do you make a bandstand? You take the chairs away, then they stand up. Aha. Very clever. Right. I just need to squash this one in here so that fits better than it was doing. That's better. That's better. Here's a little adjustment and coaxing into position, but it's gone there now. Right, so we'll glue the other side in. Nearly finished. Really easy, these benches. Piece of cake. A little bit of glue at the back there.
GEL station benches, Paul said.
Oh, crikey. I'm going to have a year's worth of work just doing benches, aren't I?
Dick Raffin says, yes, yay big is common measurement system. Jed said he's got a brass etching, a photo of a brass etching for LMS seats, if it's any good.
That'll be handy, just so I can see what it's supposed to look like. Right, now what I'm doing now is I'm just gluing the extra bit of detail underneath, which is the kind of seat support, I suppose. Move it back a bit so it looks a bit more.
Is that your dad or my dad on Facebook?
What's it say?
Oh no, or is it Elizabeth?
Oh, that's Elizabeth says morning, Dad. Oh, morning, Elizabeth. What are you doing? You're supposed to be at college. You are at college, but morning, Elizabeth. Hope it's all going all right at college. You're not aching too much after the gym. Right, there we go. We've just glued the other bits underneath the seat just to give it a bit more interest and sort of dynamics to the design. And there we go. We have a simple bench, which I think works quite well. A really sturdy and durable. You obviously can't, it wouldn't spoil you, but it's really sturdy. It supports a model person with no problem whatsoever. And if you didn't want to use the thicker sides on it, obviously you can just build it with a single side. You don't need to put the double ones, but I've put one there just because it gives it a bit more interesting shape. So there we have LX13 and LX67 market stalls. I'll probably build another couple of benches for our little market square scene over the next few weeks. I'm also going to make a baseboard, which will be something to stand it on. But I think that'll make a nice little diorama, won't it, with the market thingy, the market cross, that's it, market cross, and a few other bits, litter bins. What else have we got we could put in there? We've got even things like the fire hydrant markers can go in up against a wall, things like that. So we could do a little walled area and a bit of a, we do it as a modern thing, so we have car park markings, but with just being used as a farmer's market, some signs and bits and bobs. So yeah, that should be a nice little project to do over the next few weeks. Next week, hopefully, it'll be young Dylan doing the live thing. Not sure what he's going to be doing yet, but we shall find something. Because we've got a meeting with our business advisor chap, which is every other Wednesday, so we've got that. So we'll be back the week after that, I think. Oh, yeah, we will be, won't we? That's better. You can hear me now. Right, that's better. Yeah, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. And Dylan will be back next week. And then the week after, we'll do something and crack on with this. Probably do the baseboard with the cobblestone thingies. Cobblestones. We'll put a bit of pavement on and some walling and things, and try and make it look something like a developing diorama. Yeah, and then maybe perhaps even do a few planters. We could put planters in. We could use some of the foliage and bits and bobs downstairs. Have a go at that. Maybe see if we can get some decent trees from somewhere and put a tree with a tree grids, because I know Neil Wolsey likes the tree grids. He's been using them. Put a tree grid in. I'm getting carried away now. Right, I'm going to disappear. Get a cup of tea. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a brilliant one. Yeah, see you soon. Ta-da.
Bye.